Recording. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Lesson number, what is this? 16. Lesson number 16. Today we're going to speak about, last week we spoke about Jannat and Jahannam, and there's different stages of Jahannam and hell and the punishment that the people will get in Jahannam. You got your notebooks out? Make notes. You must remember a lot of the things that I ask you in your exams is not in your books. It's going to be in your notes as well. Remember that. Alright, here we go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Describe what will happen to the kuffar. The kuffar will become so helpless from this punishment that they will wish for death, but death will not come. Last week we must explain how hectic the punishment is, that La yamutu fiha wa la yahya. You won't live in Jahannam, nor will you die in Jahannam. And every time you think that this punishment is going to kill you, then Allah brings you back to life again. So the punishment is going to be so hectic that they're going to wish for death, but death won't come. They'll just receive punishment continuously. They will ask for each other's advice and go to the God of hell, Sayyidina Malik, and they will ask him to plead to Allah for what? For death, not to get free from hell. They'll be so desperate. They know they're not going to come out of hell, but they'll be so desperate that they'll go to the gatekeeper, the doorkeeper of Jahannam, Sayyidina Malik, and they tell him, please tell Allah to kill us. Call it quits, finish, and clear. We can't handle it anymore. Sayyidina Malik will ignore them for 1,000 years. Ya Allah. Do you think your life has been long so far? How old are you? 14? 15? 13? It's been long so far, no? Imagine 1,000 years you're being ignored, yo. After 1,000 years, he will reply, what are you asking me for? Ask him whom you have disobeyed. So he will say, why are you asking me? So they'll ask him, then he'll ignore them for 1,000 years. And after 1,000 years of them persisting, he will say, why are you asking me? Go ask Allah. Then for 1,000 years they will call on Allah by His merciful names, and for 1,000 years Allah will not reply. So they will call on Allah by all Allah's merciful names, Al-Ghafur, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Alright? After 1,000 years Allah will reply, stay away, remain in hell, do not talk to me. Why? Because these were the people that when guidance was available on the dunya, they chose not to take the guidance. They chose to live their lives sinning. Nowadays everything is common. A lot of people from different faiths, they don't even worry about marriage anymore. For us, for Muslims, marriage is a sacred institute, and the only time a boy and a girl get together, or a man and a woman get together and are physical, is after marriage. But it's become so common now amongst non-Muslims that people don't even worry about marriage. Zina, you know what is zina? Having premarital relationships or relationships before marriage is so common now that it's not taken and regarded as a sin. For now, it's like, oh, you got a girlfriend? Oh, you got a boyfriend? Oh, no problem. No problem. You're going out, you're dating? Oh, no problem. What else is no problem? You go out with your girlfriend or your boyfriend here and there. You go to the movies, you go to the restaurants, this and that, and you go all over the show, go to the house, sit alone and things like that, and you'll touch each other and you'll kiss each other and all that stuff. Everything has become normal now because other people don't see it as sin, and other faiths don't see it as sin, and we as Muslims, we see it as a sin. But because we are exposed to all these things around us here in South Africa, and we're living in such a society, some of us consider it not to be a sin now. And for us it's also okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. So Allah will tell these people that, oh, you guys were doing what you wanted to, you lived together before you got married, you drank your alcohol, and you believed the wrong stuff, you didn't believe in me, you didn't believe in Rasulullah, you didn't make your namaz, and you sinned, and you this, and you smoked your drugs, and this and that, and all that stuff. What you calling from me? What do you want from me now? All the time on the dunya I told you, believe. All the time on the dunya I told you, obey, and you didn't want to. You just lived your life in sin how you wanted to. By then the kuffar will become completely hopeless of any kind of mercy and will start screaming and crying like donkeys. First they will cry with tears. Then the tears will finish. They will cry with tears of blood. Tears of blood afterwards. There will be big open gaps in their cheeks due to the effects of the crying, because they will cry so much. The water and the pus from their crying will be so much that if boats were pulled into them, they would sail. So much they're going to cry. They won't be able to stop crying from the punishment and from the pain. Imagine just crying continuously. You just cry and you don't stop because you're in so much terror, you're in so much pain, you're in hell. And there's nothing else. You can't even smile. You can't even, leave alone smiling, you can't stop crying. You're just crying all the time and wailing, making noise. Sometimes you, and you, what did you go? Sometimes you do that. No, you won't even do that. You'll be screaming and crying. And, like when you were a baby. You're crying and snot and tran and everything. Crying. But you'll be crying in terror, crying in fear. Your eyes will be like wide open. Okay, not you guys, but I'm talking about we're talking about the disbelievers now. All right. The face of the Jahannamis will be so bad that if a Jahannami means a person who's in Jahannam. A Jannati means a person who's in Jannah. So they will be crying so much. And the face of the Jahannamis will be so bad that if a Jahannami were brought into this world, all the people would die just by looking at his ugly face and the foul stench of his body. F-O-U-L. The foul stench of his body. So if Allah must take somebody out of Jahannam and show that person or bring that person, let him come into the atmosphere of this earth, everybody will die because of the stench of that person's body. It is such a foul smell. Do you understand that? Can you comprehend that? You can't actually comprehend. How can you die of a stink smell? Can you die of a stink smell? If Allah were to bring a Jahannami here, he is so horrible looking, so ugly, that when you see him, you will die of fright. Do you know, in the grave, when people are getting punishment in the grave, we can't hear them. We can't hear them. If we were able to hear them, we'll die from that also. You know who can hear them? Animals can hear them. Allah has given the animals the ability to hear the punishment of the people in the grave. Anyways, finally the situation will be such for the kuffar that for each one of them a coffin will be prepared. The size of this coffin will be the length of their height. Okay, so as long as according to their measurements, they will be put into this coffin, which will be set on fire. It will be locked with a padlock of fire. This coffin will then be put inside a larger coffin, also made from fire. The gap between them will be set on fire. A padlock with chains made of fire will also be put around it. It will be locked again with a lock of fire. All this will be then put into a bonfire. So the coffins is already burning, coffin in the coffin, another coffin, then they put it in a bonfire also. Then all the kuffar will think that they will never be able to withstand any other heat, and this punishment is above all punishments. There will always be never-ending punishment for them. That is so sad. Never-ending punishment. As the Muslims will go to Jannah, somebody's pen is lying on the floor there. As the Muslims will go to Jannah, and your time in Jannah, our time inshallah in Jannah will be never-ending, forever. Forever. You cannot fathom and comprehend forever. You know the word forever, forever and ever, but you won't understand how long is forever. It's forever. You stay one age, and you just forever. You just enjoy yourself forever in Jannah. But for the kuffar, on the other hand, in Jahannam, is forever punishment that doesn't come to an end. Oh, may Allah save us from the punishment of Jahannam. Ameen. Say Ameen. Imagine for them forever. It doesn't come to an end. It's not like, okay, they're going to be there for 100 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years. It's just forever. Ya Allah, shoo. What would be the final fate of the Jannatis and the Jahannamis? After all the Jannatis enter Jannah and the Jahannamis will be sentenced to Jahannam forever, at that time death would be placed between Jannah and Jahannam in the form of a ram. Who knows what's a ram? Hey, ram couriers, yes. What's a ram? What? Come, ram. Hey? Oh, a fowl. What's a RAM? Not a RAM of memory. Don't tell me a RAM from a computer. What's a RAM? Yeah.
Isn't it like a mother
Lamb.
Is it an animal?
It's an animal, yeah. A mountain goat. Don't you know the story of Nabi Ismail alayhi salam and Ibrahim when he had to sacrifice his son and then Allah put a ram? So now you learned about four-legged animals today and you learned about fowls and chickens. You know the difference now. So anyway, so where are we? So at that time death would be placed between Jannah and Jahannam in the form of a ram. So do you understand what is going on here? Okay, death is not this. Death is not something that says, okay, that is death. You know, you can't give death a picture, or you can't give death a form or a shape, or you can't objectify death or make an object out of death or anything like that, because death is something that you experience. Death is something that happens to you. But what Allah is going to do now, because you're going to be forever in Jannah and they're going to be forever in Jahannam, there's no more death. There's no need for death anymore. So there's going to be they need to get rid of death now, because we don't need death anymore. So what Allah is going to give death the form of a ram. Allah is going to give death the form of a ram. A voice will call out to the Jannatis. They would peep with fear, thinking that they would be taken out of Jannah. And then a voice will be called out to the Jahannamis. They will be happy, thinking that they would be taken out of Jahannam. So whoever's in Jannah, a voice will come to them and they will peep, say, what's going on? And they're going to be a bit frightened. What's happening? Is our time in Jannah finished? Is Allah going to take us out of Jahannam? And when the people of Jahannam hear the voice, they're going to think, what's happening? Is Allah taking out us? Are we saved now? So then the voice would ask them if they recognize the ram. And then they all will say, yes, this is death. Then the ram will be slaughtered. The voice will say, O Jannatis, you will now live forever and will not die. You will now live forever and you will not die. And the voice will say, O Jahannamis, you will live forever and you will not die. So all of them will get that message. The Jannatis will say that you will live forever. The Jahannamis will get the message that you will live forever. But the Jannatis are going to live in comfort and pleasure, okay, and in luxuries. And the Jahannamis are going to live in punishment again. For this, the Jannatis will be ever happy, and the Jahannamis will lose hope and be devastated. Ya Allah, it is so hectic. Call the person here. Whoever it is. Oh, okay, so that's all for today. I was going to do the next thing with you, but we leave that for next week. So this is all for today. We finish this. I'm going to upload the video tonight or tomorrow morning on YouTube, and then inshallah it is for your perusal and for your study material. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.